Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. And today's video, we are going to discuss Marvel Champions, and we're going to talk about a couple different topics. That being what Marvel Champions content creators that I would recommend or I listen to. We'll go through and rank my favorite characters based on the heroes that come with the core box. We'll talk about who I think is the most enjoyable to play. Who I think is the most thinky to play, my favorite art sleeves that come with it, and who has the best alter ego. And then we'll talk about some other things as well in this. Thus far, I've only played the core box, and I have not, even though I've purchased the other boxes and packs, just have not opened them yet. I've played about roughly 200 games, and we'll kind of go through those, what games I've played, and we'll go from there. And I've only played this solo. I've played one or two games with multi-handed, but for the most part, this is our solo. So what we'll go ahead and do is, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the other content creators that I will listen to. This is not necessarily in any particular order, but these are the ones that I can recall that I listened to at the filming of this particular video. So the other content creators that I listen to normally when it comes to Marvel Champions is, of course, the Grouchy Nerd, D20 Woodworking, Nelson Oliver Cards, Dale the Casual Gamer, and Web Warrior Fanatic. If you're aware of other ones out there, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. There may be one or two others that I can think of, but those are the ones that always come to mind, and I know I'm usually keeping track of what they talk about. Would highly recommend each one of their channels. And again, if you have others that you would recommend, would love to hear them. We'll now go ahead and discuss the favorite characters from least to favorite. Again, this is of the heroes that come with the core box. So my least favorite comic book character overall is going to be Captain Marvel. I've just never gotten into Captain Marvel. It just hasn't been a character that I can just get into. Whether it be the movies, the comic book characters, I just don't feel it. The next least favorite is She-Hulk. Now, while I do enjoy some of the old She-Hulk comics, I really did want to like the Disney She-Hulk more than I did. I think it had its moments, but I just couldn't quite get into it as much as I thought. And from comic books that I've read or characters, of the five, this would be the second least favorite. Now we're getting into some harder choices. Black Panther would be next on the list. I do like the Black Panther comics. Some of them are pretty good. I do like the Black Panther movies. But when it just comes to, of the five that I had to rank, I would put Black Panther at number 3. And then number 2 of the comic book characters that I would like the most, the second highest being Iron Man. Iron Man's just a good overall character. Always enjoyed the Iron Man movies. I always thought the Iron Man character was pretty good. And it was just one of those ones that was always fun to play. And then, of course, Spider-Man being my favorite character of these fives. The question, though, that would come up, and I think this could be a good question for a lot of people, is who do you prefer more? The old universe Spider-Man or the Ultimate Spider-Man? And which Ultimate Spider-Man would you prefer? Now, of course, we're not talking Miles Morales. We're talking the Peter Parker variant Spider-Man. But Spider-Man would be my favorite character. So now let's go ahead and move into the ones that are most enjoyable to play. And this is going to be from least to most favorite again. Of the 5 characters, I just don't enjoy playing Captain Marvel as many of the other ones. I just can't get into it. And part of this could just be I'm just not a fan of the character. But for my particular taste, I'm not excited to play Captain Marvel. Sorry. She-Hulk could be next on the list of the 5. This one, I thought I would enjoy this more with the stats. It just wasn't as enjoyable to play. Next on the list would be Iron Man. Iron Man is not as enjoyable to play. I do think it's interesting in building the suit. I just for me, if I'm looking to play something and I'm not getting into a specific scenario, Iron Man would be that number 3 pick of which ones I would want to play. Now, the next one I would enjoy the second most is Black Panther. I, at first, I'll have to admit, did not enjoy playing Black Panther, but after I got a feel for the Retaliate and how the character worked, the Wakanda Forever card specifically, I really enjoyed playing this a lot. And this, I'll be honest, this was a tie between this and the next one being Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the first, and you never really forget your first. Nice, simple, enjoyed playing it. Then that goes into, of the 5 core heroes, who do I think is the most thinky? So in other words, if I'm looking to play something and I want to play a little bit strategy and not just kind of watch football while I'm playing or have a couple of drinks, but actually think about it, I have to say the least thinky is going to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man is just basically, there's not a lot of little strategy there, just kind of playing through it. The next would be Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is just basic, you just pound them. At least that's what I've played so far. I'm sure there's builds out there that are a lot more difficult, a lot more enjoyable to play. But as from a thinky perspective, I didn't feel it was all that thinky. Next was She-Hulk. She-Hulk, I felt like there was a little more strategy than the other two. It could be that I'm making it more difficult than it needs to be, but that would be the third on the list. And the next one was kind of a tie. I did put Black Panther as the most thinky, the second most thinky, because, again, it's you're kind of, how do you want to handle and play those Wakanda Forevers, and then build up that deck. The most thinky, I think, is Iron Man, and that's how you're going to build the suit, when you're going to flip to Alter Ego. But that one to me is the most thinky. Next would be, who do I think is the best alter egos in this? And honestly, I think the least favorite alter ego for me is Carol Danvers. Again, I am just not a fan of the character. I kind of do like the action, choose a player to draw 1 card, limit once per round, so you're getting an additional card. I'm just not a fan of the character. The healing, though, is pretty good. The next one would be Jennifer Walters, mainly because I'm just not a fan, again, of the character. I don't think I've used the alter ego skill very much, but the healing factor is pretty good. The next one would have to be, I think, T'Challa. And that would be because what's really nice about that is you get to pick the card that you're going to start out with. I am curious what everybody's card is that they do start out with when they upgrade their deck. The next one for the alter ego, I think, would be Peter Parker. Just nice, simple, heal the health, generates a resource per round. And this probably could go further down the list if I really think about it a little bit more. And then, of course, the best alter ego, I think, is Tony Stark. Futurist action, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand and discard others, limit once per round. I think this is really powerful if I'm playing it right, and I just like the character art on this. So the next thing that we're going to do is, who has the favorite art sleeve? So let's go ahead and decide which one has the favorite art sleeves. The next on the list that we're going to go off, again, and these are from the core box, is how would I rate the art sleeves, the GameGenic art sleeves, from least favorite to most favorite. So the least favorite for the art sleeve is Captain Marvel. Just not quite a fan of this. It does kind of look okay, but I feel like it's missing something. I'm just not much of a fan of it. And here's one that might be a surprise. My next of the 5... the Spider-Man, I think I wanted something more. It is a nice little art sleeve, the design, but when I ranked the 5, this one, I would put this, so this may be a controversial pick. The third favorite would be She-Hulk. I do kind of like the fist. I just kind of like that punching out. It's kind of cool. And when I do play She-Hulk, it is kind of cool to look at the back of that. The next one is going to be Iron Man. I just thought this was a cool little art sleeve. I thought it was nice. It just kind of jumped out. And then my favorite art sleeve that I just think is the coolest is the Black Panther one. This is just cool. I like how you've got the mask, and then it's all dark right here, and then you see the necklace. I think this is a cool art sleeve. When you put them all together, I really would be curious what everybody's else's thought would be on if you were to rank which of these art sleeves you think is the coolest, which one would you pick? Please put that in the comment section. Again, and I would also like to hear, of the rankings, what was your favorite character? What is your most enjoyable to play? Which one do you think is the most thinky? And which one do you think has the best alter ego? And again, this is just for the core game. Now let's go ahead and get into some quick stats real quick. So I've only been playing the game for about 90 days, give or take a couple days. And again, I've only played the core box. In that time, I've played roughly about 227 games, give or take. And again, here's the breakdown. I've played roughly 62 games as Spider-Man. 42 of those games were with Rhino and 20 with Claw. I've played 66 games with Captain Marvel. 45 of those with Rhino and 21 with Claw. I played roughly 45 games with Iron Man, 27 of them against Rhino, 18 against Claw. And I played roughly, I believe it was 54 games with, it was 27 games with She-Hulk. And I've only played Rhino so far with She-Hulk. And I've played about 27 games with Black Panther, and I've only played those against Rhino. That's going to be a mix of standard and expert. I have yet to play Ultron, which is why I haven't done a video of which villain I like the most. And I really am fighting the urge not to open up some of the other hero packs or the other boxes. But I wanted to get a good baseline for this. And this is one of those cool things about this game that I'm really enjoying. There's a lot of value in this game. Depending on where you buy it, I always will recommend that you buy a game at your local game store. But I've seen these, if you can't find it at your local game store, I have seen these on Amazon ranging from anywhere from $30 to $50 for the core box. Just depends on the time of the year and if there's a sale or not. But you get great value for this. You can play this core box and just get the core box. Now, of course, if you're like me, what's going to happen is you're going to realize how cool this game is, and you're really going to want to go out and get the other boxes, the other heroes. But there's a lot of versatility in here, and I've only played the decks that is suggested as the 2 starter decks for Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, and in the instructions it gives you the recommended builds for the other heroes. So I have not started deck building yet. I haven't started mixing matching yet. I haven't pulled any cards out of anywhere else. I'm just playing the standard so far. And I think there's a ton of value in this. If I remember, I'll actually put a link in there for the Amazon affiliate link. If you're going to buy the game, it doesn't cost you any more to click on that. It does give me a few pennies, and it's definitely appreciated. So I would like to know, for those that have stuck this far in the video, what is your favorites with the core box? And if you've only gotten the core box, would you go into the next box in the series? Or what would you recommend to jump to next? I think the Rise of the Red Skull is the next one, but it's out of print from what I understand. I don't have that particular one, but I do have the majority of the other ones so far. I don't have Captain America Hero Pack or the Doctor Strange, but I do have the most of the others in that first and second wave. I picked them up because I just knew right away I would like this game. I would also like to know what accessories are out there that you have for this game that you enjoy a little bit more that you would recommend. And again, I know earlier on I talked about the different content creators that I listen to, or that I would recommend. I would love to hear some of your thoughts on what content creators specifically related to Marvel Champions would you recommend, why do you like them, and give them a shout out. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this video. Please like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And if you have any suggestions for things that you would like me to do, because I do some of these games with scenarios and heroes, and I think I've live streamed once or twice. Would love to hear some recommendations of some matchups and what you want to play. I am thinking about doing a gauntlet style series where I take one hero, start off against Rhino, do Rhino standard, then expert, and then if I can, do the best 2 out of 3, go on to Claw, standard, expert, do a 2 out of 3, and then try Ultron for the first time. And then see, of the 5 core heroes, can I run the gauntlet with all 5 going regular and expert in a best 2 out of 3 and go through that gauntlet. The other thing I was thinking of is just, can I go without losing? So can I go a true gauntlet of, let's go against Rhino on standard and expert, and then go to Claw, then go to Ultron, and see how that works out. Again, I do everybody appreciate taking the time to watch this. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, folks, cheers.